it's funny now that, it's like 31 years ago, I started into the service industry and now I'm doing full circle and back into that's what I'm trying to build my business into 100% service. It's funny too, because it's just like being in the industry for so long, I keep getting pulled back into the new construction. So I don't have a problem talking to homeowners. That's one thing I always have tried to work with is to give the homeowner what they want, put my input into it, and then let them decide what they want.
Welcome to Not a Licensed Architect, the podcast for residential designers out there doing the real work without the license and sometimes without the credit. I'm your host, Stephanie Thatcher, and if you've ever felt like you should be licensed to be taken seriously, but you're still showing up every day designing real homes that real people actually live in, this is the show for you. Here, we get honest about the struggles, but even more importantly, we're talking about solutions, better floor plans, smarter business moves, and the confidence to finally own your role in the residential construction industry. So if you're ready to level up, lead your clients like the pro that you are, and finally own the fact that you don't need a license to design incredible homes, this is the podcast you've been looking for. Let's go. Welcome. Thanks, Clay, for joining us. I'm not a licensed architect. You are not a licensed architect. And so we're glad to have some outside contractors coming in and talking to us today, sharing all of your feedback, all of your insights on what a good floor plan looks like and how other people like me in the industry can help you, do your job easier and better. So I'll give a little bit of an intro about Clay and I go way, way back, like decades.
24 years.
Yeah, 24 years we've known each other, and Clay's been a plumber. You've been a plumber for that entire time, right?
31 years, actually. So.
Oh, wow. Okay, awesome. 31 years. So I didn't know that. Did you that's what you did straight out of school? You went straight into that pretty much?
I went right out of high school. I went to the Navy.
Okay.
And got out of the Navy after a year because I got injured and went right into plumbing. So
how did you know that's what you wanted to do?
Well, plumbing or the Navy?
Well, yeah, either one.
Well, honestly, the plumbing kind of fell into it, but because of the Navy, I went into the Navy because I knew I didn't want to do college. After high school, I'd had enough of school, so I signed up for the Navy and enlisted in the advanced school. So I did the schooling in the Navy. And when I was in the Navy, I basically, the whole time, all I did is learned about steam systems, propulsion, oil systems,
Really?
Not really like basic plumbing that we deal with here, but like the industrial kind of style plumbing. So
did you just happen into that, or did you ask to be assigned to that?
Actually, my stepdad's dad, so my step grandfather, I guess is what you call him.
Yeah.
He was a machinist mate in the Navy, and what he did sounded cool, so I signed up for that. That's what I did. I signed up as a machinist mate. Back 50 years before that, they did a lot different stuff. They actually did machining. When I went in, the machinist mate didn't do anything with machining. They basically did all the piping and propulsion and hydraulics and steam and
the mechanics of the systems that actually powered the ship and like that. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So we did everything. We did everything from producing the steam to sending the steam to piping the steam and then, just kind of all the way back to the propeller. So.
Okay. I've known you all these years and I didn't know that much about you. I probably knew that you were in the Navy, but I didn't know that there was any sort of connection now.
So that's how I got hired up as a plumber, because when I got out of the Navy, I was looking for a job and had a plumber. I interviewed with a plumber and he saw that I had the Navy experience, worked on boilers, and he hired me right away. So.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, the thing that I love about your story that you said is just that sounded interesting. So I figured I'd give that a try.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people think that you have to have this grant. I'm lucky because I've always had the dream of doing the work that I do. And I don't understand people who don't get to do the work that they like totally are passionate about, but just to find something that sounds interesting and that can keep you like interested for 31 years, 31. Yeah.
31 years. Actually, I got married. I did my interview 2 days before I got married, got home for my honeymoon and started plumbing. So,
and the rest is history.
Yep. So been married for 31 years and plumbing for 31 years too. So
good anniversary. Okay.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I mean, so you've seen a lot in your career.
Yeah.
But have you always done residential, or have you done other commercial stuff too?
I've really done it all. That's what because I'm just curious by nature. So I get bored very easily by doing something the same over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like new stuff. I like to push myself. I like to see different, just different things, different aspects of how this works, how that works. And so it's always kind of pushed me to do more and more. So I started out in the service industry, just doing service plumbing, went to new construction, and then spent 8 years basically doing 100% new construction. And then went to Utah State University in their plumbing department and did the plumbing up there, which was really cool. And I really liked it because they have everything from 100-year-old plumbing systems to the most new and high-tech stuff.
I didn't know you did that. That's pretty recent then.
Yeah. So I did that. And then I did that from 2001 to 2000 to 2004. And then I quit in 2004, and 2005 is when I started up my own business. So
hey, nice. 2005. That's the year that I went to work for the builders.
Yeah, that's right.
So same year. Yeah. We've kind of had parallel journeys, I feel like, in our careers, and following each other a little bit on the paths that we've been taking. And entrepreneurship, I know, has been something that intrigued you for a long time, right?
It really did. It did. It was kind of funny when I quit the university. I wasn't sure. I quit without having another job. And that's what a friend of mine, he's just told me, he goes, why would you go work for anybody else? Just go start your own business. And
thank you, friend.
I was like, yes, thank you. You're like, thanks for pushing me into that. So
yes, that's a good idea. I will listen.
Yeah. So it's just kind of been one of those things, and it's just kind of grown, it's funny now that, it's like 31 years ago, I started into the service industry, and now I'm doing full circle and back into that's what I'm trying to build my business into 100% service.
You're trying to focus strictly on the service.
Yeah. But it's funny too, because it's just like being in the industry for so long, I keep getting pulled back into the new construction. So,
well, that's because people know you, right? And they know that you've done it. They know that you do a good job. So, what else?
Yeah. And I think I don't have a problem talking to homeowners, and, that's one thing I always have tried to work with, is to give the homeowner what they want. It's like, put my input into it, but let them decide what they want. And
so you try to educate them on what is best. Like, I know you've done that for me, because you've had to come help us with some of our plumbing things.
Yeah.
With our 25-year-old water heaters, we replace sometime soon.
Yeah.
But I know that you have given me valuable information every time you've come to, kind of educate me about what my choices are and what the best solution in your eyes is. Yeah. And so that's something that I don't think you probably don't get trained in that when you become, like, when you're, studying, you're getting your journeymans and everything like that. They don't train you in how to deal with people.
Nope. Oh, no. No. It's there's a lot of guys that just would rather not talk to homeowners at all, just because they just want to get in, get it done, do exactly what's on the plan, and then, get out. And I've just always kind of had the attitude, it's like, it's hard to put stuff down on paper and actually see what it looks like in real life. And that's one thing I do have an advantage over a lot of people, because I can actually see what stuff's going to look like, ahead of time. Yeah. It's almost, it's not really like looking into the future, but I would say it's definitely being able to visualize what something's going to look like after it's done. I've just kind of always had that capability. And
Okay, I've never thought about plumbing needing to be able to visualize the plumbing.
yeah,
So you're
because
able
it's
to
just,
visualize like how the pipes need to all be assembled and stuff. Tell me
mhm.
more about that. What does that look like?
Yeah, it's just, being able to see what it's going to look like when you're all said and done, and how, you're going to get from point A to point B,
Okay.
and
So how
and
is
make
that
it
together?
make it work. Yep. And how it's all going to go together.
I just
And
take it
it's
for
just,
granted that it just,
yeah.
the common saying flows downhill, right? I'm like, oh, just
Yeah.
kidding.
And that's the funny thing. It's just like, and that's what I've loved working with engineers and architects, because it's just like, I mean, you guys have the vision on how stuff, flows together with everything else, but sometimes it's just, and don't take it wrong, but like it's a little short-sighted on what actually works with, with the whole bathroom, with the kitchen, that kind of
No
stuff. So
offense taken whatsoever, because some of the stuff that I'm the most grateful for having worked with and for the builders was getting that feedback. Like that was actually the thing that kept me working there for as long as I did, was I knew I had all the subcontractors like who were willing to take my call. And if
yeah,
I'm just Stephanie out on my own, are they going to take my call? Because I
yeah,
want to call you and get feedback on what I can do better on the plans. Like we got trained, an HVAC contractor came in and told us like, if you turn the furnaces this direction, this is better, and make sure that the water heaters are the thing that's like directly below the flue chase and like different things like
yeah,
that. Like nobody tells you that.
yeah,
And so this is why we're having this conversation,
yeah,
because I don't think I've ever asked you necessarily. Well, there have been a time or two where I've asked you like, does this help, or do you not need this, whatever. So we want to hear all of your best tips for what you think is valuable and we're going to focus on new residential construction.
yep.
So give us all the tips.
Try to think of all the tips.
I can start if you need help. I can start, but
One thing that really stands out in my mind too is just like, as far, just making stuff flow easy, especially in the kitchen. And the
okay.
one thing that we run into kitchens that they have a hard time, it's like we'll lay it out, when the house is being built, but it's like you need more room than you think. And
Okay.
that's,
Yeah. Give us a little bit more of an example or description of what you mean. Like, how can it flow better or have more room?
well, I think like people think that 3 feet is good enough in between, the counter and, or like a bar or whatever. And it's really not. And it's
So
just
like
like,
from cabinet to island or
mhm,
cabinet to peninsula or whatever, like
exactly.
3 feet.
Yeah.
I agree. For 3 feet,
Yeah.
not nearly enough.
Yeah. And it's just, it's like, people want to have as big a bar as possible, or, be able to utilize as much space. But, it's like you get, the one or two or three people into a kitchen, and you're trying to move around, and there's only 3 feet in between, you got to shuffle through or whatever. Or it's just like you open up the fridge, or, the fridge door or the dishwasher, drop that down. It takes up all the room.
You're looking at things
And
outside of just plumbing too, then.
yeah, because I've built a few houses myself, and knowing
Okay.
how it works, and it's like that. This, in all reality, it's not to be sexist or whatever, too, but the two things that make a house that is really good is a good kitchen and a good garage.
Yep.
And
Those are the two top. Absolutely. Those spaces are like one person usually cares a lot about that, and the other person usually cares a lot about that. And those
yep,
are
yep,
definitely the top two.
yeah, oh yeah, and it's like, and the whole happy wife is a happy life too. And if you can have a good kitchen that flows easy, I definitely like the triangle series or triangle thought with the kitchen sink, the stove, and the fridge.
Okay, so question, since we're talking about good kitchen layouts, so many of my clients love to have like the kind of like the fridge is on one side, the sink is on the opposite side with the range in the middle with like a big island or whatever. And so whenever I have that situation, I always try to encourage my clients to either have like a pot filler or a prep sink so that it contracts that work triangle back down, because it's so elongated at that point that I want to be able to like get in that one extra kind of like step or whatever, one extra workspace so that we don't have to have so much foot traffic.
Yeah, definitely. Especially on a bigger kitchen where you've got that distance between the, the stove and the sink. Yeah. I try to sell people on pot fillers all the time. Definitely island sinks, make it, really nice. So,
okay. So you're looking at this same as me, like from functionality. So many people are like, they don't want their sink in the island because it ruins the aesthetic or whatever.
But does it?
I know. I'm like, I mean, I guess it depends on how you live, right? If you have a pile of dirty dishes, then maybe it does,
True.
or if you want to always have the buffet thing going on and like whatever. So,
but that's where an island sink, like if you have the kitchen sink off to the side, like standard, and then you do a little prep sink or an island sink. If anything, it just breaks up the island, because I've seen a bunch of islands, that
so huge.
They're just big and nothing, which it's nice because you can put a lot on there and you can put the whole spread out on there. But it honestly, when there's nothing else on there, that sink helps break it up, and I think it kind of fulfills the kitchen too. So
yeah. Okay, so I've always heard that like to have a shared plumbing wall is better. Like if you have bathrooms back to back. Tell us more about yes or no on that. Like I've heard some people say it doesn't matter and other people say absolutely.
It definitely makes it nice. The problem that we run into is 2x4 walls. So it's like back in the day, every single plumbing wall was always designed 2x6.
Gotcha.
And we've kind of got away from that with, trying to, it's funny because we went 2x6 plumbing walls, 2x4 exterior walls. And now we've got 2x4 all interior walls and 2x4 exterior walls. So that's one thing. Definitely, it's like if you're going to do a bathroom back to back, make it a 2x6 wall for sure. Just because the problem is we run into the code, the plumbing code or the building code. Actually, you can't drill so much of a stud without ruining it.
Ruining the structural integrity of it and stuff like that. And so I can see how if a bathroom is back to back, I would probably have like my toilets are right next, like back to back of each other. And they're right back to back of each other. And so then it becomes a problem. But I mean, like outside of just maybe walk through some people who don't understand like what actual pipes and stuff go through the wall versus like come up through the floor.
I mean, pretty much all the drainage pipes down and, go through the wall other than the toilet. I guess really, really just your sinks are going to be going in the wall. Your toilet goes through the floor. Your shower and your tub both go through the floor.
But at some point, so we live in Utah and we have a lot of basements. Mm-hmm. So eventually that drain has to work its way over to a wall to get down to the underground plumbing.
Yes. And also everything has to be vented some way. So it's like in Utah, we have different ways of doing it too, but every fixture has to be vented certain way. So even though it goes to the floor, you've got to have somewhere there's got to be a vent that goes up and out through the wall. And that's what I know, like the one thing I've done not old houses. I've done houses that have been designed by old contractors, and they used to love to stack bathrooms on top of each other. So it made the plumbing easier, but it actually makes it harder than having the bathroom spread out, because it's just the way the plumbing code is. It makes it really hard to like stack things. I mean, you can do it, but that's one thing in designing a house. I wouldn't worry about trying to stack bathrooms.
Okay.
But back to back ones definitely make it nice, and then the big thing is a 2x6 wall.
Okay. So if I'm designing a floor plan and I've got hierarchy of things that will make it really good for the plumber, number one, from just the little bit that we talked about, because I know we haven't covered everything, but the number one thing would be make the plumbing walls 2x6.
Yep.
Okay. I should change those.
Yeah.
How come you haven't told me this all these years? Nobody. I mean, I understand the building code and destroying the studs and different things like that, your plates and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's easy to do because I like I said, I've had people tell me the back-to-back things and the stacked bathrooms is not as essential. So answer this question then for people who might not know. When you have to send those vents up and out through the roof,
mm-hmm.
do you collect all of the vents from, the individual components into one vent that penetrates the roof deck?
Your good plumbers will.
Okay.
We do. We try to we try to condense them as much as possible. I mean, there's limitations on how many, you have to have so many square inches of vent go through the roof, but, according to how many toilets and fixture units and everything
you
there's in the
kind of
house.
collect them if you do that up in the attic,
yep.
Right?
But then all you do is upsize it. So you can run them all through one vent, bring them all back together. Sometimes, big houses or
too far apart, it might not make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. But yeah, I've seen it too, and where you've got a little, 1,000 square foot home and you've got 4 stacks going out the roof, and they're 2 to 3 feet apart, and it's like there's no reason why they can't be.
Seriously, because that to me, I'm looking ahead for my homeowner and thinking that's every penetration in my roof deck is a potential leak.
Yep. Yeah.
And so if I can reduce that a little bit, I would like to do that.
Yeah. And that just comes down to a good plumber,
there's nothing that we can do as designers to.
No, it really isn't. That. And that's where it's just kind of I'll put a little hit on contractors, because, it's like contractors are always trying to get the cheapest bid, get it down as low as possible. And that's one of the things, the plumbing contractor will do, to save a little bit of time and money and material is, it's easier just to run your vents straight up and out the roof and,
mm-hmm.
Not tie them together up in the attic,
mm-hmm.
Just because it can be done. There's a few instances, depending on the roof design, if you guys had a TGI, an I-joist built roof, those are hard to tie together.
Okay.
But if it's a standard,
you have to punch through the TJIs and stuff.
Yeah. But a standard truss, a standard roof without a trusses,
all the webbing and everything, you've got the space to pull things kind of at an angle. And
it's you get these houses that are flat roof or, single pitch roofs that are that it makes it a little bit more difficult to tie them together.
So it'll be fun. I'll come check out your house when you build it.
Yeah, that's why I brought that up.
Perfect. Yeah. Hey, speaking of flat roofs, let's talk scupper drains for a second.
Okay.
What's the best way to drain? Okay, again, we live in Utah, so I'm hyper conscious and hyper vigilant about getting those roofs to drain. My sister in Northern California, she's doing some remodeling stuff and adding a gable onto her roof. And I'm like, dude, hold up. You've got this collection spot on whatever the architect designed, and you should probably think about it. And maybe it's not a thing where she lives, because they don't get snow and, whatever, but.
They get a lot of rain though. Well, it depends on where they're at, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if they do. Anyway, so drainage off of roofs and stuff. I know you're not a gutter guy, but whatever, you're the one who would do the scupper drain, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. What's that's favorite way?
We've done those, it's no different than you do commercial roofs that have, flat roofs. It's just designing them so they.
You prefer the one in the middle, though, kind of in the middle of the roof deck, or more of the perimeter style?
It depends on the size of the roof,
okay.
So that's how much you're catching, because every roof drain can only catch so much.
Right.
They have a limitation on how much water they can catch. So the bigger the roof, the more you got to add. And then, if you place them on the outside or in the middle, I would, if I had a big roof deck, that's what I would do is I would place them, on, towards the outside and then slope it, with a little bit of pitch going to it. And every roof drain, there's two. You've got two drains. One is an overflow. One's the main drain, and one's the overflow. So
Okay.
So you have the overflow is the emergency one, and then the main drain is what takes all the water. So
do you prefer those to come down on the inside of the wall and then like exit out at the bottom of the framed wall? Or because I've seen some that just like shoot out the side of the wall.
yeah, no, I mean that's what generally the ones that shoot out high are the overflow.
Okay.
And that's if you see water coming out of those, that means the main one's plugged.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's a lot better. It's cleaner, just to run it down the wall and stub them both out low and have one go to a drain system and one just kind of open. So.
Okay. So like, are you talking an exterior drain system, French drain type thing, or like that's buried in the ground? Okay.
Yeah, either one. I know a lot of the big custom homes that will do, like they'll run a drain system all the way around the house and it catches, all the rain gutters, or, we put trench drains in garages and we'll tie them all the same thing and then run them into a big gravel pit or, some
way away from the house.
Yep. Yep.
Increase the amount of water that the house has to then like funnel.
Yeah.
Away from it or whatever.
Yeah, because I mean, in our area, we've got a lot of different soils. We've got, rocky soil. We've got really, dense clay soil, and some of it just doesn't take the water. So, the better you can get the water away from the house, the better.
Well, and if you know your soil conditions, that's massively helpful. Okay, we didn't know we would be talking about soils when it comes to plumbing, but that does matter. Yeah. So, okay. So what you're saying is somebody told me about a house that had been built by a very reputable, like it was designed by a reputable architecture firm, built by a very reputable builder. All the people were involved and it was good, but there was a scupper drain that was coming out right above like an exterior wall sconce. Like,
oh no,
that doesn't sound like a good idea to me.
No. And that, and honestly, that's what I think that's where the trades kind of, it's like one trade not talking to the other trade. I mean, in all reality, the electrician should have noticed that, or the plumber should have noticed
Whoever
that when they put
first.
That out. Yeah. Or even who came second, it's like,
that's
and I know.
Yeah. Sorry, I said it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who came behind should have noticed. Yeah. And either like if the drain was already there and it's like, well, the light fixture has to be here. The drain could move.
Yeah. That's the thing too, is like if there's there's no other option for that drain to go anywhere, then it's just, it needs to be figured out. So
yeah. So, and I don't know what the conclusion was. I'm sure that they solved it. Because, like I said, everybody involved was very reputable, very, they're very aware and very conscientious of a high level of performance. So, yeah,
especially like that. I know it's funny how like outside light fixtures totally rule the outside of the house. It's like, it's a big deal.
Aesthetics on the outside kind of trump a lot of things that go on the inside. And then there's the things that are on the inside of the house that trump the guts of the house, the things that aren't seen, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk underground plumbing for a second.
Okay.
What are some things that are helpful? Because I feel bad for you guys. You have literally nothing to reference. Where, I mean, you're the one who's making stuff up right in the air. You know what I mean? Like, it's not there yet. So how can we help you?
We always joke because we're the only sub that just gets a picture of a fixture and then you have to design how to plumb it. And electricians have lines going all over how to run their wires, and framers have measurements and where to put all their studs and stuff.
I don't give any well. I do give measurements on my foundation plan, but I don't know if it's helpful. You don't have a foundation yet. So.
Yeah. And on an underground, honestly, the thing that we run into that is just different from architect is where you're pulling your measurements from. Because we don't have any walls to measure from.
Yes.
So if we, it's like we either need to know, it's like if you're pulling from the inside of the foundation or from the outside of the foundation. Because we figure all the foundations are 8 inches thick, on average,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So if your measurements start from the outside and then go in, then we subtract our 8 inches for there. But it's like if everybody just did it off the inside of the foundation and knew that, but knew that
So that would be your industry standard if you could have one.
yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, and that would be, because the thing is like, because you've got the problem is you've got some framers that will frame a wall that's, your furring wall that comes off the outside, on the foundation side. They'll put it at 4 inches off the foundation wall. Some guys will go 4.5.
Right. Yep.
So, and then we always try to, like anticipate that, so we always,
So you're saying don't dimension it to the framed wall, the furred out wall on the inside of the foundation wall. You'd rather have it dimensioned to, so it's better like the way that my plans show how I've got I actually have a dimension from the inside of the foundation wall to the center of the drain.
I wouldn't go to the center of the drain.
Okay, tell me where you'd go.
I would go to the center of a wall, like a bearing wall, something that's significant, that's going to stay in that place, because I might have to
know where the center of your drain is and where the fixture is going to be from there.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, let's like reference a standard bathroom.
Yeah.
So like you've got the tub on the outside wall, then your toilet, then your vanity, right? It kind of goes in that order. If I know all the measurements from the inside of the foundation to the outside of the bathroom wall, either the center of the wall or edge of the wall, then I can measure back. So I know it's like, say, okay, do we have a 4-foot vanity? And then I need 30 inches for my tub or for my toilet. And then I like to leave 32 inches for the tub.
32 for the tub?
Yeah.
But yes, at least.
A standard tub's 30. So you can get it tight and go 30 for a tub, 30 for a toilet, and then whatever's left for your vanity.
I like the way you think a little bit better.
Yeah, it's just we always try to leave a little extra, and that's your bare minimum code wise. So
yeah, right.
So but that's what, like, that furring wall can be all over the place.
Okay, so that helps me because because I've been pulling dimensions from the inside of the foundation wall to the centers of all the toilet or all the fixtures, like from 2 directions at least.
Oh, okay.
But if I only have to, and it gets kind of messy right there, it's really hard to make sure that everything is legible. And so if I just had 2 dimensions that went to the wall, to the center or the edge of the wall, then you can go from there. Is it helpful to show like a plumbing drop? Like I have just a little, kind of like a little target symbol, little circle with a crosshatch in it.
Not necessarily. I mean, probably, honestly, the best thing would be just to, I guess unless you want, like you want, say you want 36 inches for that toilet, you want a little bit more elbow room, for the toilet, but like, and it's like, but generally when we're doing an underground on a residential house, we don't have all the specs for what tub they want. We don't know if it's a 30-inch tub.
Nobody's made that decision yet.
No.
Yeah.
Or it's, or they want to put a big soaker tub in there and go 36, so it's, that's a little on the hard side, but at least if we know, okay, the bathrooms, like standard bathroom, what are we, 5 feet? Like say if you do an 8-foot, you have 8 feet for a bathroom, that gives you, really, you can fit a 36-inch vanity and then 30 inches for your toilet, 30 inches for your tub. So
I also have shown just the symbols of that bathroom layout.
Yeah.
And just dashed on the foundation plan. So it's the foundation plan, like this is what's going to happen on the floor. So if it's a basement or if it's slab on grade, this is what the layout of that bathroom is going to look like.
Yeah.
As it finishes out.
Yeah. And it's definitely nice to know, it's like, that's the tub. This is the tub. This is the shower. Here's the location of the toilet. And then, where's the sink? Where's the vanity? How big is the vanity? That's the same thing too, is we have to have a little bit of play in that because, by the time the cabinet guy comes in and measures for his cabinet, it's like, is he stuck on every 6 inches, or is he going right to, is he building the 51-inch long cabinet, or is he stuck on 36,
And
42, 50, 48,
some of it can depend too on the framing layout, right? Like, is there a step in the way or a floor joist in the way for your prop or whatever? So the other thing too, that most of this stuff I kind of learned from working for the builder. It's not anything that I learned in school when I was learning drafting and all the stuff. Like, nobody taught me about how to look out for the plumbing and all that stuff. So, I mean, and maybe that's because I didn't do full 4 years, of architecture. But
they probably wouldn't have told you that anyway.
It'll be interesting as I get into more of these conversations to find out, like, what are people learning in school? Because I sure as heck learned, I feel like, a lot more practical information. I mean, you have to learn, obviously, how to draft, right? For me. And I had to learn how to use a CAD program. And I mean, I could have learned all that stuff on the job, but that's what I basically went to school for. But I kind of forgot where I was going with this.
Learning how to talk to the subs, or communicate like what subs need. And, I doubt.
I didn't learn about the importance of, like, of course it's beneficial now that we have CAD, but like, I roll out the floor joist, for example, and I say, if we start the joist layout from referencing this wall in particular, and we go this direction, I'm able to miss plumbing drops.
Oh yeah.
All the drains and stuff. So like, I can, and that's why I try to do that for the framers, so that the framer gets it in a spot that's good for you.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yeah. It's great when it works out, and it's amazing how many do and how many don't.
Yeah, I think, well, like I said, who out there is teaching the designers and the drafters and the CAD operators and whoever that's so valuable. That information is, especially if I can do it with the click of a button.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead of somebody having to pull a tape and do some measurements and do some math and whatever, like, I can just do it with the click of a button. Yeah. And I can check, like, this wall, nope, this wall, nope, that wall, yep. And I might still hit one, but I don't hit three.
The other thing is, I don't know if you have the ability on that too, but is trying to make sure your plumbing walls or walls in general don't land on top of a joist. I don't know if you can, because that's a problem we run into, is like,
I hadn't thought about that. Like, parallel with a joist, any parallel wall, any wall that's parallel to a joist, that try to make sure that they don't land on top.
Yeah. Right underneath the wall, or because that, it doesn't, and this is where, like, electricians or I mean, we run into it a lot, and we actually just got hit on a house where we had multiple walls underneath, or multiple walls on top of floor joists. And when we were drilling through the stud, or through the floor, in the wall, we nicked the floor joist, and I'm talking just nicked it, and didn't think it was that big a deal, just because it was just a nick, and put all our plumbing in it. Came, got an inspection, and the inspector made us tear all the plumbing out. They had to fix the floor joist.
Pull the joist out, put a new floor joist in.
Luckily, they didn't make them pull it out, but they call it skinning it on both sides. The engineer approved them putting, skinning both sides.
What is that? I've never heard of that.
Well, like how a TGI is built, or it's like an I shape. So basically, the center part, they just fill that full of, they cut like sheeting, like 3/4 inch sheeting.
Like, add additional center support for that.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Skinning.
But we still had to tear out all of our plumbing. We had, I think by the time we were all said and done, we had 6 pipes running through that joist, because they have to go, so many feet one way and so many feet the other way. And all it was, like, say, it was just from one little nick on that cord. Gosh. So. Okay.
You sold me. Good story. I will be looking out for that more.
Yeah.
Good one.
And I don't, like, say, if it's something that you could, punch into your program and do, that would be amazing.
Well, yeah, I mean, because we can see the overlay. And actually, a lot of times when we, like my floor framing plans, for example, are there for that kind of information. It's not necessarily there to like substitute the engineer's drawings for the floor framing, because he's going to specify, tie downs and hold downs and bracing and blocking and whatever. Like, I'm not doing any of that stuff. He's going to do that. But my floor framing plan is there to kind of help the framer know how to lay it out, make sure that we're setting it up just right. If the framer follows it, that we're not. So we can see overlays. We can see the walls underneath.
Oh, okay, cool.
And if there's anything that lines up like that, we can make adjustments either by hand, like to say, like, this is what I would think that they would do, but I'm sure every builder's different, where they would just like pull that one joist to the inside and then restart their like layout from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, because a lot of times it's hard. We've invested so much time in the layout that by the time we get to figuring out what the floor framing is like, the layout's not moving.
Oh, yeah.
So the floor joists are going to have to adjust somehow.
Yeah. But yeah, that's knowing that beforehand, knowing like, okay, here, we know the wall's got to go here. So if we can just, bump this joist, and that's the thing too, is it's like, how many times joists or your joist layout are set on 16-inch centers, when in all reality they could go to 19, whatever it was, 19.2 or whatever. Yeah, I
rarely do that for floor joists, but we do that all the time. 19.2 is where I start floor trusses at.
But I mean, they can generally, your floors can, like, you could move one floor joist over to that,
I see,
to miss a wall.
Yeah.
But on the framer's point, it's hard for him to see where all the walls are going to go when he's laying out the floor joists.
Exactly. So. Yeah. So that's the thing. We have the capabilities here because doing stuff. I mean, that's the beauty of having CAD programs, right? Is that we have that capability of like seeing through the one, like the main floor layout to the floor system below, or to the floor layout below, or whatever. And so we have a little bit more of a crystal ball than like, the old school drafters had. And so we can help you guys out. And that's exactly why I'm having these conversations. So if we talk to enough of the trades to get feedback on what can we, like, how has the architecture or drafting industry even evolved in our standard practices as a reflection of the tools that we have available to us? I don't know if it has, but have we gotten the feedback that we've needed from the trades?
Yeah. And that's probably, honestly, like, this connection, like with me and you, I doubt happens very much, if at all.
Yeah, I beg for it. But I get it. You're busy. I'm busy. And unless we schedule a time to have these conversations, and it doesn't happen.
Or you design my house.
But even still, we didn't have these conversations even during the design of your house.
True. That's true. Yeah.
So now when it came down to you building it, then that might be another thing, like I could ask you questions about how then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What about any special appliances or anything that people need? I know we're coming up on, we've probably gone over time. Any last thoughts that you have about what we can do?
I think, I don't know if it comes down with the architecture wise, but I think definitely, high efficiency appliances are just, definitely here to stay. And, people shouldn't be afraid of them, and, they're definitely worth it. I mean, I'm a big proponent of hot water heat. I don't think there's a way.
How can we get that less expensive though?
Well, that's so labor intensive. It's just, there's not. Okay. But I will say, it's like, doing this for so long, I don't care if you're building a 1,000 square foot home or a 10,000 square foot home. If you put in-floor heat in it and you did another home, you would spend it. You would do it. Every single.
More comfortable.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Or do people save money with that system over forced air?
Years before, I would say you would save money, but not anymore, because if appliances are appliances, I mean, a 96% furnace and a 96% boiler, they're both deficient, so they're both going to take what it takes to heat the place. So I would say, cost wise, you're not going to see a difference month to month.
But are there differences in, I mean, it could, like, depend on where people are and how they're getting their energy and stuff. Like for us, it's gas, right? So is there a difference in what we're paying for gas for the forced air versus what is required to power the boiler and stuff? Like that's still gas, isn't it?
Yep. There's still gas.
But does one take lower amounts of energy than the other?
Well, and overall, yes. I mean, that's the nice thing about hot water heat and the boiler system is you can have your house the same temperature everywhere.
And it doesn't require that constant maintenance that a forced air system would require.
Well, I guess for maintenance, once you get to a high efficiency appliance, they just take a lot of maintenance. It's just that's just a reality of.
Okay, I'm talking about maintaining the air temperature, like the comfortability, because once you get your temperature where it needs to be with the hot water system, then it's a lot easier to maintain that temperature. So your system's not kicking on as often as well.
Yeah. That's the one thing that is really nice is, like say like standard house, say 1,500 square foot house, if we could put 3 zones in upstairs, 3 zones downstairs. And even if you set them all to the exact same temperature, the beauty of that is all those rooms are going to be the exact same temperature, opposed to forced air where, depending on, maybe the whole main floor is set at 72, but I guarantee your basement's going to be closer to 68, or 67. It's always colder. So, and that's the beauty with hot water heat is you can have it, all the rooms, whatever temperature. And that's where, it's really a good selling feature when people, like their master bedroom or master bath, we can actually set the master bedroom, say at 68 degrees, and we have the master bathroom at 72, 73, a little warmer.
Yeah.
So it's like when you're
right.
Yeah. And, it's just that comfort of having the floor warm and having that heat come up from the floor. And you're not just with hot water heat, you're not just heating the air, you're actually heating everything.
The thing. Yep.
So you're heating up your couch, you're heating up your table, your bed. All of those things are being warmed up, not just the air, which is what a forced air system does, is it heats the air.
Right.
So it's kind of cool. It's like you can, like in the middle of the winter with hot water heat, you can have people come in and out the door, leave the door wide open. And as soon as you shut the door, within a matter of seconds, it's back to normal temperature.
Nice.
Because you didn't just lose all the hot air,
didn't
just escape out the front door. It's, it's all the appliances, everything in the house is warm. So
okay. I have still so many questions, and I know we're exhausted our time, but don't let me forget. We're gonna have another conversation because I have questions about tankless water heaters, and I know people need to hear about like the ice maker lines to the refrigerator. You and I have talked about that because that's caused the damage in my house. So just different things like that would be, like the low flow toilets or whatever, all those kinds of things. Like what are the best things for those different situations, pros and cons, whatever. Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
Okay. Because I still have tons of questions. If you think of anything else that we missed today, let's pin it and we'll reconnect again and have another conversation.
Yeah, let's do it.
So many good things. Okay. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it.
It's been fun.
Cool. Thanks for doing good work and always trying to level up the industry with me.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you.
Okay. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for hanging out with me on Not a Licensed Architect. If you're ready to stop second guessing yourself and start owning your place in this industry, make sure to follow the show and share it with another designer who needs to hear it too. And if you want more real strategies and floor plan tips you can actually use, head on over to dostudios.co for more courses and resources to supercharge your residential design career. Remember, you don't need a license to design a home or a life you're proud of. Thanks for hanging out. We'll catch you next time.